Upgrades. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another JVS movie review. Now, this week and possibly for the upcoming weeks, you will get a lot of reviews as we are currently here in Toronto at the Toronto International Film Festival. So you're going to get a lot of reviews from myself, Sam, Mike, whole TeamJVS as we're dropping big reviews from this amazing film festival. And this is my first review of the film festival, and this film is called Normal. And here's a quick synopsis. Ulysses comes to a small, sleepy town of Normal to serve as a temporary sheriff after the passing of the original sheriff. A bank robbery in Normal leads Ulysses to find that a criminal underground reaches throughout the entire city. Now, this is directed by Wheatley. It stars Bob Odenkirk, Harry Winkler, and Lena Headey. Now, if you've seen any of the Nobody films, you kind of understand that for Bob, this is now becoming his lane and playing these everyday type of action heroes. And we get the exact same thing here with Normal. It's just as comedic, as brutal of an action film that you're going to see this year. Now, it's in the vein of, if you all remember Smoking Aces, that type of film where it just feels like a conglomerate of people come together and it serves the purpose of the plot. And with the purpose of the plot comes a lot of action. As we're first introduced to Ulysses, they do an amazing backstory about exactly who he is and why he's the temporary sheriff of his town. And there's a whole backstory to Ulysses also that we won't talk about. We're just given the monologue that he does to open up the film to explain why he's in Normal and why he's the temporary sheriff for Normal. And one of the running gags through this movie with Ulysses is him saying, I'm not here to cause any change. I am here to just keep the ship steady and leave the town exactly the way it was when I get to the town. That is his whole purpose here. And as we see him just tossing out little fires here and there throughout the town, and we kind of understand just the purpose of him just calling his wife and trying to connect with his wife and let his wife understand exactly where he is and what's his steps in the town and what he's looking forward to doing. Unfortunately, then we get a bank robbery happens in a town, one that has no crime. This town never has any crime. Bank robbery happens, an alarm goes off, and all heck breaks loose. As the town, because of the bank robbery, not only attempts to take out the bank robbers, but they also attempt to take out Ulysses because he's the temporary sheriff, and he discovers that they have been stockpiling money and drugs and gold for the Yakuza, as this small town has decided to go into business with this criminal organization. Now, but that is an extremely funny and extremely kind of original way to set up a film. This film has a very strong, nonpartisan political message also behind it about small towns in America and about how a lot of small towns in America are either shutting down, closing, or are left completely in destitute because, unfortunately for America, you forget about small towns. And unless those towns can really subsidize themselves, they tend to fall apart. So here we get the story that the main reason this town partnered with the Yakuza is so they can be self-funded and so their residents can still lead a peaceful, normal, truly pun intended, their life. And then that's the whole purpose of them partnering with the gang. So it kind of runs twofold. You understand this is a huge criminal organization in this town. We eventually find out everyone's in the town is crooked, as that's part of the action here is we get these two bank robbers and Ulysses as they attempt to survive everything that's going to happen in this town, as everyone in the town sees them as the threat that can possibly destroy their way of living. That's when you get to the comedic punches of the film. That's when you get to Wheatley, the director here, who does a masterful job at setting up the action set pieces in his film. And he does it because it's never too serious, but it's just enough to keep an audience intrigued. And then Bob Odenkirk is Bob Odenkirk. He still has the charisma necessary to lead this type of film. Now, one of the only issues that you're going to have with Normal is that it feels like a running gag with this town, with everything that's happening. And after a while, you can kind of get thrown off and you can kind of get to the point where you feel like it just needs to stop. It just needs to end. because it is a gag and it does take a lot to keep that continuously going out through the length of this film here. So the film could have been a little shorter and a little bit more condensed just to keep, I think, an audience more intrigued about what's happening here. But it does lead on Bob's ability just to be Bob. And he has a masterful ability just to keep you intrigued in no matter what story that he's in. And that really pays dividends in Normal because after a while it does run a little thin, but because he's in it and because you're still trying to figure out exactly how this is going to end with a masterful third act that's put in place here by Ben, like that is enough to keep you more than intrigued as you're going to sit through this entire film. So Normal, brought to you from the Toronto International Film Festival. Out of a possible 10, I'm giving Normal a 7.5 out of 10. This is a solid action movie. Like if you're just going into a film and you understand like, hey, I'm just here for the action. I'm not here for a plot that needs to be too convoluted. I'm not here for these masterful performances. You're going to get a solid performance from Bob, and then you're going to get amazing action and amazing comedic moments. I laughed throughout the majority of this film. Even when it got to the point where I thought it was going on too long, I still had funny moments in it. So I think anyone who loves solid, funny, comedic action films, I think this will be when it comes out the film for you to do. But check it out when it drops. Let us know what you think. This has been another JVS movie review brought to you from the Toronto International Film Festival. Peace, people.